What's up, Totem Pole Nation? This is Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. We're going to be going into today's episode solo. I'm obviously Matt. Lambo is out. Today's episode, we're getting into the next installment of the recruiting trail videos. This one is getting into the details of Penn State. Let's get it. All right, guys. Starting off here with Penn State in this installment of our weekly recruiting trail videos. Penn State is the 14th ranked class in 2024 so far. They are third in the Big Ten. They have 25 commits, including 1 5-star, 16 4-stars, and 8 3-stars. So first, I'm going to go over some of the depth chart details that I picked up on when doing this analysis. The wide receiver room is losing their top target in Keandre Lambert-Smith and Dante Cephas, who has only caught 11 balls this year. But besides those two guys, they have a lot of youth behind them in the depth chart. The tight end room is also returning their second and third targets on the team in Theo Johnson and Tyler Warren. So they're fine in the tight end department as well. They're losing 3 of their 5 starting O-linemen. They do have returning depth at every O-line spot, but it obviously wouldn't hurt to add some more dudes behind them. QB room and running back room are obviously set. Defense has 3 juniors leaving in the draft. That'll be DN Chop Robinson, linebacker Curtis Jacobs, and DB Kalen King. They will also be losing a D-end, Adisa Isaac, DBs Johnny Dixon, and Daquan Hardy. Isaac and Dixon are also going to be drafted, but they'd be leaving this year anyways. So that's why I didn't include them in that initial group. But the defense, unlike the offense in some spots, the defense has a lot of young depth at almost every position group. So first off, I'm going to get into their top commits so far, starting with Luke Reynolds. He's from Cheshire Academy in Cheshire, Connecticut. 5-star tight end, 6'4.5", 220. He's the 29th nationally ranked player, the first ranked tight end, and the first player from Connecticut. He's a former QB that switched positions last season. He's a good route runner and has good hands. Him being a QB also means he can understand the offense a little bit better. That's the story that goes with Travis Kelce. And then also other tight end cliches. He plays basketball. So as you've heard a million times on TV, when a tight end used to play basketball, everyone points it out. He's good at boxing out. He can high point balls, stuff like that. So, great all-around tight end. He'll have to obviously learn to get a little bit better in the blocking realm of things, but he'll be a great addition as an athlete to this offense. Next up, Quentin Martin. He's from Bell Vernon High School in Bell Vernon, PA. 4-star athlete, 6'2", 200 pounds. He's the 81st ranked player nationally, the 5th ranked athlete, and the first player from Pennsylvania. He plays running back and safety. The 247 evaluations point out that his skills as a running back stand out amongst obviously a wide skill set that he has playing on both sides of the ball. And they predict that he'll be just a bruiser of a running back at the college level and not as much on the defensive side. He also plays basketball where he's an absolute dog, 19 points a game and 10 rebounds. He's just a beast of an athlete. And regardless if he plays offense or defense for Penn State, he'll be a great addition. Next up, Ethan Grunkmeyer, from Old Tangy High School in Lewis Center, Ohio. He's a 4-star QB, 6'2", 190. He's the 99th ranked player nationally, the 7th ranked quarterback, and the 2nd player in the state of Ohio. His senior night was a week and a half ago. He had 5 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 1 rushing, and James Franklin showed up to watch his future star ball out. He's thrown for 2,500 yards this year, 27 touchdowns to 5 interceptions at a 70% completion rate. The dude's a weapon for sure. Next up, Liam Andrews from the Dexter School in Brookline, Massachusetts. He's a 4-star D lineman, 6'5", 260. He's ranked 116 in the country, the 20th ranked D lineman, and the second ranked player in the state of Massachusetts. He still plays on both sides of the ball. He's like his classification says tackle, but then when you look at his rankings, he's ranked as a D lineman. He just switched this season from O-line to D-line. And the description of him says he can play anywhere from the 3 technique all the way to the 9. So he's very versatile on the D-line, and we'll have to see, what they choose to do with him. Because like I said, he's ranked as a D lineman, but his classification also says offensive tackle. So I'm assuming he'll be playing D-line at the next level, but we'll have to let 247 catch up with that, I guess. Rounding out their top 5 is Cooper Cousins, an actual offensive lineman from McDowell High School in Erie, Pennsylvania. He's a 4-star interior O-line, although his notes say that he could play anywhere along it. But he's 6'6", 315, 120th ranked player nationally, second interior O-lineman, and the second ranked player in Pennsylvania. He's a great athlete, dominates current competition because he's just bigger and stronger than everyone. 6'6", 315. He's getting a lot of pancakes on and off the field. That was a terrible joke, but we're going to move on to their top in-state commits. Obviously, I just mentioned Quentin Martin and Cooper Cousins right there. Next up is a player that goes by the name of Anthony Specca from Central Catholic High School in Pittsburgh, PA. He's a 3-star linebacker. He's been bumped to 4 in the composite rankings, which is why I have him on here. 6'2", 220, 37th ranked linebacker and the 5th ranked player in Pennsylvania. Next up, we've got Peter Gonzalez. He's a 3-star wide receiver from Central Catholic High School as well in Pittsburgh. 6'2.5", 200 pounds, the 68th ranked wide receiver and 6th ranked player in Pennsylvania. And I think the last notable guy that I think they got from their in-state recruiting is Tyseer Denmark. This guy right here from Imhotep Institute in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So excuse me for saying that wrong because I know I did. He's a 3-star wide receiver. Also has been bumped up to a 4-star in composite rankings, and he's 5'11", 180. He's the 70th ranked wide receiver, 7th in Pennsylvania. I like to highlight, the in-state recruiting mostly because the schools we've been covering so far have depth in the state, and Pennsylvania is pretty top heavy. They don't have many guys after like the 6th or 7th spot. So it's not as emphasized for Penn State, especially because they can hit their footprint, or in other words, the schools around them. They can hit those very, very well. And they've shown that, I'm in Blacksburg right now, Virginia Tech fan, and it's nice to know that Penn State isn't coming into Virginia and just dominating all of our recruits. Most of that was Brent Pry, so it's cool to have him on our side of it. But just from a Penn State point of view, they can hammer their footprint states very well, and that's what they've done. And then looking at points of emphasis amongst all commits, not just their top guys. The O-line needed help, or a little bit of help, and they have 5 commits, 2 of them being 4 stars and 3 of them being highly rated 4 stars. And when I say highly rated, what I mean is like these guys, either their composites could be bumped up to 4 stars or their overalls could be bumped up to 4 stars. And it wouldn't shock anyone. They're very much on the threshold of 4 and 3. And the same thing can be said about the D-line. They took in 6 commits, 2 of them being 4 stars, and 4 of those guys are highly rated 3 stars as well. And then rounding out the points of emphasis in this episode is the DBs. They brought in 4 commits, 1 of them being a 4-star, and then 3 of them being very highly rated 3 stars as well. So that's really all I've got for the Penn State recruiting class. Essentially, they're still on the same track that they've been for the past few years, regardless of staff changes. They still bring in a very competitive class. I wouldn't be surprised if they added some more depth, like I said, in the positions of need, a little bit more in the wide receiver room as well. Losing their top target is big, but bringing back your top your second and third targets in your tight end room. That's also large. But we've seen Drew Aller's shortcomings, and I'm not saying that he's not a good quarterback, but we've seen the inefficiencies. So stress, and he's young, so I'm not shitting on him or anything, but stressing the importance of the skill guys around him when it comes to the ball catchers is very important. And it does look like Penn State is going in that direction a bit to get him some more help. So that wraps up this episode of the Recruiting Trail. This was Penn State. Next episode, I will be getting into Clemson. So if you want to stick around the next 5 minutes or so, you can go ahead and do that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to Sideline Sports Network for the platform. Thank you, Totem Pole Nation, as always. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace.